Hi, this is Richard Quack coming to you live from Malaysia. I would like to welcome you to my weekly live video, and in today's session, I would like to talk about marketing, and in particular, internet marketing. And the topic is how to create websites using WordPress. Okay, now if you want to be online, then you need to have a website. Okay, what is a website? A website is just like a shop, that is online. Okay, you got to advertise your product or services, so you need a website. It can be information website as well, rather than sales website or e-commerce website. All right, so basically, I'm going to talk about how to create website using WordPress. There are many ways of creating website, of course. Okay, but here I want to talk about WordPress. Now, previously, I'm sure you are aware, to create a website is a major project. It can be expensive and it can amount to thousands of dollars, all right? It can be expensive because previously the technology was not very advanced yet, all right? So to create a website can be a very massive project and it can cost thousands of dollars, and you got to get professionals to help you to do it. That's why it is expensive, okay? But today, with all the technologies that is happening in the world, you can create a website for less than $100. That's all. For less than $100, then you can create a website. Of course, there are many platforms to create a website. It can be WordPress, it can be Blogger, it can be HTML platform, and so on. All right, but basically today I want to talk about WordPress. Okay. Now, when you talk about blogging platform, WordPress is the most popular. All right, most popular of all is WordPress. Myself personally, previously, years ago, I was using HTML. All right, so I got to learn how to use like software like Front Page or Dreamweaver. Okay, but today I have shifted to WordPress because WordPress is very user friendly. Okay, it is easy to use. As long as you know how to type, you know how to copy and paste, then you can create a website using WordPress. All right. Now, WordPress is also free to use. If you want to use it, you can use WordPress for free. All right. And what you need to do is just download the software and then you need to install it yourself. All right. You can download the software. You can check on Google or go to wordpress.org. All right. Wordpress.org. And then you can download the software and you need to know how to install it onto your own server. All right. So basically, that is the one if you want to do using your own domain name. But of course, they also offer you as a subdomain, which is free. But I don't advise you to do that. If you want to have your own website, then you got to install it on your own server. Okay. So today I want to go through some of the guide on how to create a website using WordPress and what are the procedures involved. Okay. Number one, you got to pick a name. If you want to have a website, you got to pick a name. All right. After picking a name, then you got to choose a domain name. All right. Now, what is a domain name? A domain name is just like an address on the internet. Just like physically, you have a physical address, right? When people want to locate you, they have your physical address. They can find you through your address. Now, so as far as the internet is concerned, your domain name is like an address because people want to look for your website. They type in the domain name. Okay, so a domain name is very important. So you got to choose a domain name that is fitting to what you are doing. All right, it must be fitting to what niche you are in. All right, you need to pick a domain name, and a domain name you can get from various sources. One of the popular one is GoDaddy, GoDaddy.com, and a domain name can be of many types. Okay, but I would recommend you to use .com because .com is very popular and easy for people to understand. All right, because .com, when you ask people about domain name, they will always associate it with .com. Of course, there are others as well, .net, .org, and so on. But if you can, for search engine purposes, especially, go for .com. And how much does a domain name cost? Well, it costs about $10 a year. That's about it. It's not expensive to have an online presence. All right, about $10 a year. Okay, it depends on the type of domain name and whether the domain name is popular or not. Okay, so basically the first thing you got to pick a name and find a domain. Then you got to register the domain name. Of course, like I said just now, one of the places you can register a domain name is GoDaddy.com, or another one is Namecheap.com. Namecheap.com. Okay, these are the two popular places whereby you can register your domain name. It will be about $10 for a year. Number 3, now you want to have a website. You got to decide on what kind of site you are going to create. It's important, all right, what sort of site you want to create, whether it is a sales website, okay, whether it's an information website, or whether it is going to be an e-commerce type of website. And so basically you got to decide what type of site you want. That's the third thing, all right? So what kind of site do you want? So I mean, if you want to start an online business, you should know what sort of site you want, all right? If you are trying to sell digital products like ebook and so on, of course you need to have a sales website. Or you just want to provide information and, at the same time, earn some commission, then you need to have a blog, a blogging type of website, which is information type of website. Okay, so you have to decide on the type of sites that you want to create. All right. Number 4, once you have a domain name, all right, you need to have hosting. Okay. Now you can create your website using HTML that is done on your computer. But as far as when it is on the computer, nobody can view your website. All right, because it is on your computer. So basically, in order to show your website to other people throughout the whole world, you need to have hosting. Hosting is whereby you rent a space on a server whereby they allow you to upload all your files, all right, to the server. And once it is on the server, then people can access your website. That's what a hosting is about. Now, hosting, there are many types of hosting, but normal hostings, per month is on a monthly basis. It could be as low as $5 per month. Okay, so it depends on what sort of hosting you're looking for. $5 per month. So it is not expensive to have an online presence. Okay, so you got to get hosting. Hosting you can also get from many sources on the internet. I'm not going to tell you what sort of hosting you can get, but you can make a search on Google. There are many types of hosting. In fact, GoDaddy itself, if you get the domain name, they also provide hosting for you, which of course you have to pay extra for that. All right, hosting your website can be about $5 per month. All right, there are many types of hosting. It can be a dedicated server. It can be, VPS, virtual private server. It can be just reseller account or just a normal server whereby you share with other people. Okay, so you need to get your hosting, number 4. Number 5, once you got a hosting and you got a domain name, you got to install the WordPress software. That means you got to install the software with WordPress software on your server. All right, that is important. Okay, you got to install the WordPress on your server. Okay, now it is not a difficult task, but of course, if you are new, you doesn't know anything, then it can be quite a problem. All right, but if you have some sort of hosting using cPanel, probably they have some sort of software for you to automatically install WordPress on your site. All right, or if you don't know, then you need to be able to install it yourself. If you cannot install your own, don't worry. You can go to Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and pay somebody, to install it for you. Probably you need to pay about $10 for them to install for you. Okay, so basically everything can be done. Even you don't know how to do it, but of course, if you know how to do it, that is easier. Like myself, I can install everything on my own. All right, so you got to install WordPress on your server. Then the other thing is, once you have a domain name, you have hosting. All right, the next thing is you got to point your domain name to your host. All right, now you have hosting one side, hosting. All right, then you have a domain name on the other side. All right, so what happened is that you got to point your domain name to your server. That means you got to point what they call is DNS. DNS, you got to point the DNS to the server. So basically, you got to go to your registrar, domain registrar, like GoDaddy. You got to go there and insert the what do you call the link or the IP address, DNS address of the server. Okay, I know it's technical, but the thing is that if you're not sure, then just go to YouTube and have a look at it. Okay, so that's you got to point your domain name to the host, because your domain name and your host are two separate things. All right, so you have a domain name, you have a host. So your domain name must be linked to your host. All right, to your host. So basically, your host thing will be able to detect your domain name. So you not need to point the DNS. Okay. The other thing is that number 7, you got to install themes. Okay, WordPress theme and plugins. All right, to your WordPress. Now, what are themes? Themes are very simple. They are how the website is going to look like. How the website is going to look like. All right, that is the theme. The format of the website and so on. There are a lot of free ones, of course, but some are paid. So it depends on what you want. All right, if you're happy with a simple one, you can use a free one. Just make a search on Google for free WordPress theme, and then you can have a lot of themes there. All you need to do is upload it to your WordPress and just do some adjustment, and then you have a nice website there. Okay. Now, the other thing is that you got to install some plugins as well. Now, what are plugins? Plugins are additional add-on to your website. That's why a lot of people like to use WordPress, because there are a lot of plugins to help them, to enable them to do certain tasks. All right. A good example is, okay, there are plugins for to speed up your site. To speed up your site, there are also plugins to create your squeeze pages. There are also plugins to do a lot of things, right? So most of the plugins are free, but some are paid. Okay, some are paid. So it depends on what you're looking for. All right. Now, a good example is, now if you're using WordPress, WordPress have changed few years ago, all right, whereby they're using blocks. But if you are not used to using blocks, you're used to the traditional way of doing the HTML thing, then you can install the plugin. All right, a plugin called Classic, I think, and which will allow you to use in text form. All right, there's no block. It's just a straight on like HTML. That's it. Okay, so you got to install theme and also plugins to your WordPress site. All right, and of course, some are free, some are paid. So it depends on you. All right, you can you should know what you're looking for, and then after that, you can go to Google and make a search for it. All right, there are many plugins. Or when you log into a WordPress site or your WordPress blog, then you can make a search. What sort of plugin you're looking for? All right, there's so many kinds of plugin there. All right, to duplicate the content of your site. All right, to provide security to your site and so on. So there are many. Okay, let's move on to number 8. Number 8 is that once you have your blog set up, you got to add content. All right, content is very important. There are 2 types of content that you can add to your blog. Number 1 is pages. Okay, what are pages? Pages are static pages, which does not change. It could be your sales page. It could be your squeeze page. It could be your contact page. It could be information page, or whatever page that is going to be static there. All right. Now the other type of posts are the other type of contents are posts. Posts are basically that the posting that you do on a regular basis. It can consist of articles. It can consist of all sorts of information. All right. It can be graphic and so on. Posts are basically updated all the time. So basically, when you have a site, you got to update it all the time. You cannot have a static. That means there's no changes. So to make it dynamic, then you got to add posts to your site. All right, and whatever content you can search from all the other sites like social media. You can go to Facebook, Pinterest to get content from there. Okay, or can go to the search engine Google and search for content. All right, and there are of course there are software outside there that also help you to search for content. So that's number 8. Now, lastly, number 9, your website is not static. It is forever evolving. All right, your website is forever evolving. And this will help with the search engine ranking as well. Because if your site is static, there are no changes, then basically, the search engine doesn't find it interesting because there's no changes at all. All right. So basically, you got to evolve your website by making a lot of posts. All right. When you update it with postings and so on, with articles and so on, then you update your website all the time, which is good for your ranking purposes as well. Okay. And of course, when people visit your blog, your website, I mean, they come for content, right? So your content must be updated all the time. If your content is not updated, then people will not visit your blog, okay, regularly. So it's important to be able to make your blog evolving, changes all the time. All right, the rest are static, like say all the pages, like the contact page, the about the page and so on, about page and so on. So all those are static. All right, or even the squeeze page or whatever that you want, you can do squeeze pages as well on your blog. All right, so there are many things that you can do. So that's all my sharing for today. I hope you learned something, but I believe that yes, it is quite technical, right? If you are lost, you need further information, please feel free to message me, all right? And I will be able to explain to you further, because in a live video like this, it's not easy for me to go through everything to show you how to get it done. But actually, it is not difficult. The thing is that you got to learn how to do it, okay? So that's all my sharing. So let me summarize for you. The topic today is how to create website with WordPress, okay? Now, WordPress is a blogging platform. It is free, and you can download it from wordpress.org, okay? And basically, when you want to use WordPress, these are the steps that you need to do. Number one, you got to pick a domain name. You got to pick a name and a domain name, all right? Number two, you got to register the domain name. Number three, you got to decide what kind of site you're creating, all right? Whether it's a sales site, it's a squeeze page, or it's an information site, or it's an e-commerce site, or whatever it is, all right? Number four, get hosting. You need hosting to host, to keep all your files, all right? Hosting. Number five, okay, you need to install the WordPress software, all right? Number six, point your domain to your host, the DNS, like I explained just now. You got to install themes and plugins. The themes are the layout or the design of your website. Plugins are add-ons that will help to make your blog more colorful, put it this way, all right? Number eight, you got to add content, because content is king, all right? So you got to add content, and when we talk about content, the pages and the posts, all right? Remember? And lastly, you must continually revolve your website, okay, to make it interesting, or else your visitor will not come back to it, all right? So basically, that's all my sharing today. Oh, by the way, if you want to see one of the blogs that I have, which is on a continuous basis, you can go to this website, okay, newselfhelp.com, newselfhelp.com, newselfhelp.com. You can have a look at my blog there, because I give you an example of what can be done, okay? So that's all my sharing for today. I hope that you learned something here, and if you like what you hear and see, please feel free to like, to share, and to comment, okay? So this is Friday here in Malaysia. I wish you a pleasant weekend, and I will see you again on Monday for another session of my live video, okay? So this is Richard Quack from Malaysia, wishing you good night and goodbye.